Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. And as we come on the air, there is breaking news on Syria. President Trump tonight is calling for an immediate halt to Turkey's invasion, and he's sending his vice president, Mike Pence, and his national security advisor to Turkey. The vice president was the one to make this announcement. He appeared outside the West Wing just a short time ago to tell the press that Mr. Trump had made a plea to stop the violence in a phone call with the Turkish president.
The president of the United States called on the president of Turkey to stop the invasion, to enact an immediate ceasefire and to begin negotiations with Kurdish forces in Syria.
Now, what's happening in Syria can only be described as chaos. After the U.S. began pulling its forces out, abandoning its Kurdish allies, Turkey invaded Syria. Well, the president tonight is authorizing new sanctions against Turkey's leaders and raising tariffs on Turkish steel to 50%. And tonight there is a scramble to flee the fighting by civilians and journalists, including our own Charlie D'Agata.
Syrian regime forces swept into towns and cities held until yesterday by the Syrian Kurds. Kurdish hospitals have been overwhelmed with casualties, small children among them. Turkish-backed militias took ground quickly and ruthlessly, and even executed these Kurdish soldiers and civilians on the roadside. Desperate Kurdish forces had told us they had hoped their U.S. allies would step in. We fought beside President Trump's soldiers like brothers in arms, Commander Raydor Halil told us. We hope that he can at least stop the Turkish airstrikes. But the announcement of the U.S. withdrawal gave the Kurds no choice but to cut a deal with America's sworn enemies, the Syrian regime backed by Russia. With Turkish forces advancing to a crucial highway in northeast Syria, choking off supply and escape routes, the Syrian regime moves swiftly to take over the key cities of Kobani, Qamishli, and Al-Hasaka. Just to give you an idea of quickly things are moving here, there are rumors that the Syrian regime is about to retake the border crossing between Syria and Iraq. So we're trying to get there as quickly as we can. The last thing we want to do is get stuck here. That wasn't the only threat. Turkish forces say they found a prison used to hold ISIS fighters deserted. Hundreds of ISIS family members and supporters had escaped from a detention camp, and Kurdish forces told CBS News they were struggling to contain 11,000 ISIS detainees. Before we cross back over into Iraq today, we witnessed a dramatically different country since the U.S. pullout. We not only had to avoid Syrian regime forces, but Turkish airstrikes and militias, and even ISIS sleeper cells that had set off car bombs over the weekend. Nora?
All right, stay safe, Charlie. Thank you.